Zahy, thank you for connecting with me today. We are both going to be at the Future of Hospitality Summit this year in Saudi Arabia in about a couple weeks here. I'm talking to you today because you represent Minor Hotel Group here in the region, and I would love for you to just introduce yourself, talk about your world in your own words.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate being part of this. As an introduction, Zahy Khoury. I've been in the region, well, I'm from Lebanon, but I've been in the Middle East, or let's call it GCC region, for almost 12 years now. Officially, I'm responsible for growing Minor Hotels development pipeline in Middle East and Africa, primarily focusing on Saudi Arabia. That's my primary market, and Morocco, where I'm heading to next week. I've also worked in a few other companies as well, so I have good experience with companies such as Marriott and IHG, so quite Western, but also quite some time in Minor Hotels, so a bit more of that Southeast Asian mentality.
And for your style of properties, you could explain like the operating ethos behind Minor that
Sure.
kind of differentiates it from some of the other brands people might know.
That's a great question. And actually, one of the main reasons why I work in Minor Hotels is actually our style, not just from a operating model, but
Yeah.
also the resorts and the way we operate the properties. But we're a Thai-based company out of Bangkok. That's where the company started. Quick small note to Minor Hotels or Minor International. The reason for that name is our founder started as a 17-year-old as a minor. Back when he was, a 17-year-old in Bangkok, and he couldn't register the company name, so he had to get his mother to sign on his behalf. But that's just a quick, intro. But that stems into the style of the company. We are a publicly traded company on the Bangkok Stock Exchange, but it's a very entrepreneurial company. Lots of the decision making we make, lots of the ideation, the strategy is very entrepreneurial. Of course, we do have the checks and balances, but we think outside the box. So it's just the ethos of the way we do the business, and that also translates into our hotels. Lots of our general managers on the properties are really given the right tools to drive the business in a way that would make sense in their region. And the most important thing is that human connection that we can build with our guests and with our real estate developers and investors and partners. The style that we operate with our properties in the company is very family oriented, I would like to say.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about both your personal expertise and Minor, whether it's like a fancy property in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Saudi, right? Or something that is in remote areas of Africa or in the more ecotourism destinations. What is one of the new physical spaces that you've seen in your roles where you guys like, maybe not that you're building, but something that you've seen that's just blowing your mind right now, whether it's a listing room, a cocktail lounge, coffee service, whether it's in the middle of the jungle or in the middle of the savannah or,
Yeah.
right next to the Burj Khalifa.
It's just interesting you mentioned the whole remote location distance. Our first ever property in the Middle East is Anantara Casa Sarab. It's a desert resort 2 hours from the south of Abu Dhabi city. One of the biggest trends that's been blowing up a lot, especially with us, we're pioneers of it, is wellness real estate. To integrate wellness activities and facilities into not just luxury properties, but also at that mid-scale and upscale segment. There are ways to make wellness both affordable, but at the same time intuitive. So we launched something 2 years ago called Life. Well, the first one's in Phuket. It's called Lion Life by Anantara. It's a holistic wellness concept, pure holistic wellness. You're talking about a 3, 5, 9, 15-day retreat program catered to each person. And what's interesting is this can be adapted to a resort in Phuket or to
100%.
Bangkok. And we're launching it in New York City with the launch of the Wolves in New York, which is called New York Life.
I would love to experience it. A lot of what we try to do is take the traditional hospitality model and make it a little bit more radical, a little bit more outrageous. One of the things that's very aligned with this concept and using wellness to push people out of their comfort zone,
Yeah.
right? I think we as an industry should start to recognize and start speak about more often. We are past the beautiful linens and the spa's gorgeous. And yes, we have a fancy restaurant. That's not necessarily what good service is anymore. We
Correct.
need to provide those things, but we also need to provide the safety of somebody to step out of their comfort zone and grow, whether that be through, hey, I'm going to come to your property because I can hike the mountain that's behind your property and it makes me nervous. And we're going to be like, yes, and you're going to get up faster than you'd ever expected. Or
Yeah,
when you get up there, we're going to have champagne and strawberries waiting for you because that's the outrageous stuff we can do because it's our mountain. And we know
absolutely.
you're coming here and you're a little scared, but like, let's give you a little treat. And again, like when you push those boundaries, Minor is quite good at doing that again at those three levels you were talking about.
Yeah.
Where is somewhere that you guys are pushing that outrageous wellness and creating a destination where people are like, I got to go here because of this, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
What's interesting is we have many of those already live and ongoing. I'll name a couple in the
Yeah.
region, but speaking of the mountain, we have a very famous resort called the Anantara Jabal Akhtar, which means the Green Mountain in Arabic in Oman. People go there for specifically that destination, the experiential well-being, the holistic wellness, and just getting away. It's something very unique and dear to our heart. It just won an amazing award recently for one of the most unique hotels from Condé Nast.
Yep.
And we echo this. We try to bring this kind of experience everywhere around the world, whether you're in the city or whether you're in the mountain. One of our most recent projects that I like to highlight specifically is the launch of the Anantara Retreat brand. Anantara Retreat is more small scale, exclusive resorts in a very unfamiliar location. So the first one globally launched is between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. It's called Rantut, and the property is called Anantara Santorini Abu Dhabi Retreat. It looks like a Santorini. You feel like you're in Santorini, but it's not Santorini. And it's only 22 rooms. It's a boutique hotel, and it's rare to find these, in the UAE. And believe it or not, it's doing extremely well. It's an adults-only destination. So, we bring something so different to the market to provide accessibility, well-being, and a sense of place. Again, why do people
So
like these destinations? It's human touch. It's always us providing a really face-to-face kind of interaction.
I would love to dive into either one of those properties
Sure.
and like if you could go deeper into one of the things, right? I always find when I'm looking at old school architecture, people like Frank Lloyd Wright were maniacal about hotels and they would do stupid stuff like design all the stationery and things like that. Like you guys have that level of thinking, right? Because your founder was like, I'm not just going to make a pizza brand. I'm going to make an interactive human brand that makes people excited about eating this food that's novel and different to us, right? So how do you guys approach that, or what is some like very uniquely, magically hospitality moment at one of those two properties where you're like, yeah, it only happens here, and it's
Yeah.
not like a 500 euro or a 1,000 SAR massage or whatever it is, but it's this presence of wellness that's more than just that foundation, if you know what I mean.
Wow, that's a good one. I'll give you a very interesting thing. I actually just discovered this recently, but I'm sure you know First Class Jerk, the famous Instagram
Yeah,
influencer. Yeah, so he had posted a post recently which highlighted the most luxurious pillow menu in the world, and it's the Alantara Jabal Akhtar in Oman. And there were like
yeah.
11 different. I never knew that existed, right? But apparently we offer that,
I
and
mean,
it's
why
a
not?
it's a pillow menu, 11 different kinds. Some of them are body pillows with like an arm, so that you feel someone's hugging you. Another one's made for the neck. Another one's made for the back. Again, it's to ensure you have a better sleep, but it just goes to show you the level of options that you have just for the sleep. I mean, that is just one specific amenity that a guest can ask for, and there is no charge. That is just part of the service. We want to make sure you have the best sleep of your life. This is every single option.
I love that because it's one of those things that, again, you don't expect is valuable. As somebody who's middle-aged and travels with a pillow when I can because of this exact nonsense, you know what I mean? Like I have friends that have thrown their back out brushing their teeth. So
Yeah.
like, just the middle-agedness is real, and this pillow thing is real. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, I wouldn't have known that that existed. I know I travel a lot for hospitality reasons. We're going to be in the Middle East again in a couple weeks together.
Perfect.
Does the Mandarin have that option? Probably, but like again, that's where the conference is, right? It's at the
Yeah.
Al Khuzama
Yeah.
building. Is that something that is known by travelers in the same kind of way in that depth? And I think it's great that First Class Jerk talked about it because
Yeah. It was a
the
very big
kind of
surprise to me when I saw that, but it was an
it,
amazing
it
find.
it's fun. It's not frivolous. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
One of the things that's happening right now currently in the GCC, and one of the things that is really inspirational for me, has been this shifting in superlatives, is what I call it, but I don't think it's like that active, right? Going from projects that feel grand because of their physical scope, like the Burj Khalifa, into projects like the 11 pillow menu at the Sleep Focus Center in Oman, right? Going from the biggest to the best and trying to start polishing this delivery of culture. Like if you're building a dream project,
Mm.
right? Where do you see this idea moving towards? What's your dream of like this future state where this, again, the superlative that we're working with is the best instead of the biggest or the most, or you see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like
Mm. Mm.
the most outrageous or whatever you
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm gonna steer into Saudi Arabia on this specific question because it's a long-term vision, but we are literally writing history in some of the projects we do there, and one of them, which I can't reveal yet because it's not been announced, but we're working very closely with the
exciting.
with the Sovereign Wealth Fund on really outrageous but amazing, ambitious projects in iconic locations, one of which is the empty quarter in Saudi Arabia. But maybe zooming in on a project we're working very closely with is Diriyah Gate, where there's an Alantara hotel and brand residences coming to Diriyah Gate, roughly 281 rooms and 30 brand residences. But what's really interesting is, and it's like a dream project, is it's like an artist is giving you a sketchbook and telling you, this is my
Hmm.
plan. I want you, Ahi. What do you think? Which brand works here best? And how do we make it as appealing as possible? And the fact that we can leave our mark in something like the Irrigate, which is a heritage-led destination with the deep roots of
Yep.
the Saudi Arabian culture, is something to be so proud of. So that's just one of the projects, that I consider the dream project.
We're going to be in Diriyah for one of the projects that we're building, a very like Arab focused
Mm,
food market and food hall, Eataly style, like it integrates food service and marketplace at the same time, right? So it's like a mix of a souk and street food and all and
hmm.
fancy dining all in the same place.
Yeah,
And Diriyah is great for that kind of regional. There's Bahraini restaurants, there's the Saudi restaurant Maze that's out there. I think as a cultural destination, again, it's amazing to hear how you guys have been given that canvas. I can't wait to see what you're building and what stage it's at when we're out there in a couple of weeks.
absolutely. No, no, it would be our absolute pleasure. It's very indigenous. That Najdi architecture, it's a philosophy in our company to
Hmm.
be indigenous. Nothing needs to look the same. Yes, we do have brand standards. You will know you're in an Antara, Avani, NH
Hmm.
collection, 12 brands that we have, but you need to make sure your brand adapts to the heritage and the culture. And it's really, really important. I don't want to talk about other companies, but standardization is great on a global level. But then when you zoom in,
100%.
being more indigenous and unique to each location, it really creates a more of a human interaction, and then lets the locals or the nationals of that country be proud of something that is really close to their heart, rather than, let's just say, dropping something from outside and just plugging it into the soil.
I think that the future of hospitality for me, you definitely need to have brands that provide beds for people that need to sleep. But when we talk about the creation of place, the creation of destination, whether it is in a remote jungle or desert, or if it's in the middle of New York City or Dubai, the action of place creation, right? We talk about it all different scales. Here in New York City, we have large developments that are like the Hudson
Yeah,
Yards project, right?
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
mixed use, hospitality, residential, commercial. That's the same thing as the Burj Khalifa economic zone. It's just a
Correct.
smaller one in a city, right? We have places in upstate outside in California, in Northern California, which are little destination points like Sonoma or Napa, which would be akin to Burgundy, which the reason why people are going as a product, yes, but it's because also there's architecture and
Mm.
culture and weather and a season. And when the season is beautiful, there's things that happen like festivals and stuff. And we are just touching that energy in the GCC. And I personally am super excited about the future of how the properties that we're building now become conduits for this passionate energy around these live tourism moments that are coming up, like the World Expo and World Cup, or however you want to slice it up. But those moments, you're going to be investing in that local culture for 4 more years so
Absolutely.
that that property feels ready to be Saudi when people come, but also to be an Antara property at the same time. And I love
Absolutely.
that.
No, absolutely. Regarding the future of hospitality, and for me, the future of hospitality is now. It's the present. It's the people. With all the AI and technology and all the new adaptive brands and the new collection brands and brand resonances and lifestyle and all these buzzy words, they're all great. And I think that I offer a great diverse offering to developers, but it
Yep.
boils down to the most important point. It's something that we have now already. The future is asking for many things, but we already have what the future needs. It's the people. That's something I gel with well. One of the things that makes me so proud about the job I do is all the paperwork we do, with all the presentations, with all the legal back and forth on projects. Once that building is open, it opens up job opportunities for hundreds, if not more. And you just pass by and say, hey, there's like 100 plus people working here. They're providing for their families, that are offering guests the best time of their lives, contributing to the economic GDP. And I was so happy to be able to contribute from that moment in time. So that for me is the future.
For me, that future also builds centers of gravity because that one building creates all those jobs. But now that that building's there, who's doing the laundry off site? Where are we getting the produce from? Who
Hmm.
are the people that are making the deliveries happen on a regular
Absolutely.
basis? Who are our 15 drivers that are taking people to other experiences that have to be there? Because if you have an excellent property, it can't
Yes.
sit in a vacuum. It has to sit
Yeah.
in a fully functioning, intentional ecosystem. And if you can get local buy-in, like you said, here's a quick question before we wrap this up. What percentage of the budget do you think you have to spend at like a high level to make sure that it's authentic? There's people like Ian Schrager that say that 5 to 10% of the budget you can't really defend on a spreadsheet or in a boardroom. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, that piece of art, how much that cost? Be like, yeah, I want to know about that piece of art. You don't want to know about. How much did it make that bathroom's insane? Be like, yeah, don't ask me about how that happened. There's some of these things that is the magic is lost in those details. You're talking about intentional local spend.
Yeah.
Where is your brain at? You know what I mean? In a boring developer level, but also so we can say it in a boring developer level so that we can make sure it sits
Mm.
in a P&L somewhere or it's on a spreadsheet where people are like, it's not there. I'm missing my magic percentage button. Who's putting the magic local intentional number on this thing? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? In
Yeah.
the same way, we have to have ruthless attention to food services and linens and all that. But where's the magic ruthlessness? You know what I mean?
It's a good question, and my accounting is going on my brain. But if I look at it at the development cost, development build perspective, typically FF&E or fixtures and equipment and OS&E and all these things, they count for roughly 25 to 35% of your entire development cost. And it's tricky because sometimes localization saves you lots of money, but sometimes localization can
Hmm.
also make you spend a lot more money. And if it's a heritage forward to make sure you're building something to ensure and you maintain this heritage, it is costlier. It is true. But then,
Yep.
you have to look at the long-term capital appreciation value by having that heritage cultural build. So my number would be if you're looking at truly building something heritage culturally focused and wanting to be
Authentic.
authentic,
Yeah.
it's gonna probably cost more. I would say if your entire budget is X, say 25% of that X is gonna be just to add an over and on top, but you could save money too. There are ways to save money by using local artists, local materials.
I,
We advocate that. We advocate localization as much as possible. We're not going to ask you to ship Camargo
and
from
again,
Italy.
I think that kind of 100%, like we don't need to bring travertine in and all these other kind of foreign materials, right? The local appreciation of every resource from building materials to culinary execution to the way that the tours are run down to the beaches and stuff. I love that process. I love the way that you guys stand for it. I can't wait to see the properties at Drea Gate and to see where you're taking that
Yeah.
and the magic that you're going to make there with this intentional 25%. Because again, it is a very interesting global site that is being built right now. And the way that it's being appreciated is a very modern way of appreciating an ancient site, if that makes sense. So I can't wait to see how you guys
No, absolutely.
integrate into that conversation and build it out. I've only been to Riyadh a couple times. Before we go, do you have anything you're looking forward to seeing, or is there anything else that we should be like putting on our cultural agenda here as placemakers or as people who can enjoy the thing that others are building as well? Like, should we go to Boulevard? We want to get out to Qudiyah. Do we need to do something that's a little outrageous that we've heard about in the news and maybe haven't touched? You know what I mean?
I've been to Riyadh hundreds of times. Unfortunately, my business trips don't have any time for any cultural activities. I think I just go and I maximize my time. But if you ask me, two things to look forward to in FHS is look out for, hopefully some of our signings. We have some cool announcements coming up from our side, which we're very,
Nice.
very excited about. But on if you have some time, besides Deary Gate, yeah, Qiddiya is actually a place to go. I would say that's pretty much there. I think they've already opened up part of the amusement parks. I myself have not been yet. I've just not had the time, and that's completely my fault. But
Well, maybe I'll set the standard a little smaller. Maybe you and I can go find some really good kunafa around
you
the
know
convention
what?
center.
Absolutely, the best thing you can do in Riyadh is have a nice shawarma at the right spot that's been there for 50 years, and you just see the city. I think that's the best thing.
We'll do some research. We'll be downtown so we can find a couple places to peek at. Again, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for connecting with me today and for introducing me to the process you guys go through for the region. I look forward to seeing the properties you're building and meeting in person when we're all in Riyadh.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it.